Hi, my name is Rutendo Nyamwida, and welcome to another audacious episode of In My 20s. In My 20s. So today's episode is for the person who perhaps was born in a different country, particularly an African country, and then raised in another country. It is all about being a child of the diaspora. This particular episode really resonated with me because I was born in Zimbabwe and raised in South Africa. And sometimes there's this feeling of not fully feeling like you belong, but also a yearning for something else, something bigger, also from a cultural perspective. And so I can't wait to get stuck into this episode. But before that, here is our guest introducing herself onto the In My 20s podcast and into the In My 20s family. Here she is.
Hi everybody, I'm Gloria Marandu. I'm African, I'm a PhD candidate, and I love cocktails and I love people.
Now, on every episode of the In My 20s podcast, my guests always come through with these mind moments or gem moments, and this is just one of them.
You know, you always have like FOMO when you haven't lived a specific life.
Yes.
I would have loved to be able to be like, oh, let me go to my childhood home. And you know that's exactly where the family is based.
Always, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So like right now, I don't even know what to call home. Like all my belongings are with me. Everything I own in this earth is with me.
The In My 20s podcast is split up into 3 sections. In the first section, we get to hear a little bit more about Gloria's history and how she got to the UK and what she's doing at the moment. In the second session, we dive into today's topic, which is all about being a child of the diaspora and the experiences that has brought along for her. And rounding up all 3 sections is a conversation about the all-encompassing 20s journey. So without further delay, let's get straight into it. Give us a little bit about your background. You have a fascinating background, fascinating travels. You are a child of the diaspora. So let us know a little bit about where you're from and how did you get to being in the UK?
All right. So in summary, okay, I am Tanzanian born and I come from a family with 3 siblings, 2 sisters, 1 brother. And my parents were expats. So we had to relocate only twice, but it seems like a lot. So I grew up in Tanzania up until I was 13. And then from 13, I moved to South Africa where I spent the majority of my adolescence. Actually, all of my adolescence.
Whereabouts in South Africa were you?
I was in Johannesburg and I went to Crawford College. And then later on, I went to Monash University. And then my parents relocated to Zimbabwe right when the crisis hit. But they were there for like some time, for like 8 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so whilst I was doing my undergrad, obviously I would go visit home. So I spent quite a bit of time in Zimbabwe. And then in my second year of university, during my undergrad, I went to Malaysia as an exchange student. So I lived there for a year. That was enough. And then I came back to South Africa only to move to the UK. I didn't expect to actually stay in the UK because I was not exactly a fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the reason? Why did you decide to move?
I just came to do my master's. I got a scholarship to come. So then I was like, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had major plans. I was like, gonna go to Paris.
Wow.
I fantasized this whole lifestyle. Or Los Angeles. Like, I had big dreams. But I ended up in the UK. And it wasn't bad at first. I moved to Nottingham. And it's quite charming, to be fair. Okay. And it's close enough to London, so I can come here often. It's close enough to, like, Birmingham and all the nice little city, Leicester. And all that. Yeah. So it was fun. I didn't expect to actually stay in the UK. So during that time, I did a lot of travel.
So you're doing your PhD at the moment. I know there are a couple of other things that you're also doing besides your PhD. So how are you balancing PhD, businesswoman, charity organization, living life in the UK? What does that look like for you?
Great question. Still a struggle.
Struggle is real.
It is still a struggle, a balancing act. So besides my PhD, as you were saying, I started a non-profit movement with my friend, Cynthia. And the movement is basically just trying to do what we can with what we have.
Yeah.
So we just we just reach out to our friends, our family at this point in time, friends and family, and we partnered up with an organization in South Africa called Umtombo, Street Children, and they just basically rehabilitate like street children, and they educate them, they put them through therapy, they teach them how to do like surfing and things like that. So in our end, we wanted to do something more sustainable, so we did the education thing. So we selected like a group of kids that we wanted to like sponsor their education, and we almost do like a multi-year grants for them, so according to how they perform and all that. So it's like a little scholarship thingy that we're doing for them. Then we went to Nigeria, and my friend, she's from Nigeria, so that's why we went there. And she had been volunteering with this like charity for like a long time, so I went, I met the people there, so we also got some kids from there too. I've learned a few mindful techniques that I'm utilizing, so I now know when to say, okay, I need a break.
Okay.
Like, take time off. It's really important to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, it's like I was trying to do the most.
Yeah.
And then that's when things go wrong.
Yeah.
When you're trying to take on too much, you think you can do it. Which you can. But, you can
but
do it.
But you do need the rest.
But you need to like, almost like schedule in time to take care of yourself. When you think like, because what happens is, people will start putting their stuff on you too. Like, oh, Gloria, I need help with, and maybe that week it's just too much for you. Like, it's overwhelming. Because life just goes ups and downs.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and you just gotta figure it out.
Yeah. You've moved around quite a bit. As you mentioned, Tanzania, South Africa, now the UK, for 5 years. But I don't pick up a British accent at all. I've been here for 2 days and I'm already like, hello. People are like, what do you want to drink? I'm like, tea.
I don't think you'll ever pick up an accent from me. I just want to be identified as like a citizen of the world.
Love it.
Don't really know where you're from.
Yeah.
You have to kind of talk to me to like, where are you from? Yeah. I don't know. I do find it really funny that certain people just come here and then pick up an accent.
As soon as they land, they're like, where can I find the shops? And you're like, but you just came from like the deepest part of like Africa.
I think what you do pick up though is like how to say certain things. Because like, so I don't know, maybe you come here from South Africa and you're like, hey, can I have some Tipex? People will just look at you like, what the flick are you talking about?
Okay.
You know?
So it's
so
more
you just have to like adjust
words.
Yeah.
Some of I do love, I don't know, like it's specific random words like yeah. And I was at the airport and I asked someone for directions and they're like, can I help you, ma'am? Like no one calls you ma'am in South Africa. Like that's such a weird thing to say. I don't
know. I haven't spent much time thinking about it, but I probably picked up some things and I don't know.
It's probably because I don't know. And did you ever watch The Crown?
No.
Okay.
I think I've watched like an episode.
Okay, so after watching The Crown, I would speak to my friends in like a staunch British fake accent.
I think you meet those people. I've been wondering where they live.
Yeah.
No, I'm being dead serious. Because like, I'm wondering where the BBC people live. Maybe most of them you'll find them in London.
Does no one speak like that?
Maybe most of them in the
I want to go and get the train.
No, you get some. But most people, it depends on where they come from.
And we just think, because it's also TV, so it has to be very, like, potent.
You're just thinking everybody speaks like that.
Yeah, everyone is. It's like,
try and watch the national news and try and understand.
Wild.
No, you'd be like, is this English?
Is this English? And turning off. Alrighty. So you've been here for 5 years, which is amazing.
Hi.
But you've lived in a number of different places, and I feel like, I mean, you are definitely like a child of the diaspora, an African, in the diaspora. What, in essence, does that feel like? Because I I haven't lived as many places as you have. I was just born in Zim and raised in South Africa, but I do you're the way I said that. Let me say that. South Africa. How long was she in the UK for? 2 days. What did she call it? South Africa. So born in Zim, raised in South Africa, but I sometimes feel like a sense of displacement, like a sense of belonging, because not being Zimbabwean enough, having not grown up in Zimbabwe, but not being South African enough, because from a cultural perspective, none of my culture, my socializing is South African, but my cultural and understanding that, it's very far. So how's that been for you?
That's a very good question. I'd like to think of myself like as an explorer. So I enjoy moving about. But in terms of the displacement, that is something I'm actually going through right now. Because I'm about to finish my PhD. And everybody keeps asking me, like, where are you going to go? What's your plan? What you going to do next? I have no clue. I have no clue where I want to live.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's so easy to just live anywhere. Now that you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy for, like, it's not a thought.
Yeah.
And for most people, I think that's like unusual. Like, well, what do you mean? Are you going to go back home? I don't know where exactly back home is.
Wow.
I feel most comfortable in South Africa. But even in South Africa, I don't speak any South African languages, which is weird. I know, but I just really suck at languages. In Tanzania, I haven't lived in Tanzania since I was 10, and like I know culturally there will be a clash because Tanzanians have a way of doing things, and I think will probably clash with me if I stayed there longer than a year. Then I would be like, oh, I can't live here. You know, I like Zim very much. It's very pretty. No, I really do think so. Yeah, but then also you have like laws that work against you. So if I stay in the UK, there's still problems with that. I'm a foreigner. Yeah, you have to like find stay, like visa wise, like how you're gonna stay here. Zimbabwe, same thing. Tanzania, I guess I can live there. In South Africa, I can live there because I'm a permanent resident. But there's still like limitations.
And that's so interesting to be, I mean, particularly here, you've been here for 5 years. You can consider it your home and yet you still feel, well, you're still considered a foreigner. And what was also very interesting in our discussion earlier when you said that you haven't voted. You're 28 and you've never voted.
I've never voted.
Yeah. How have you never voted?
It's very strange because like I move around a lot, not just countries. I mean like housing. I guess legally I don't even know where I'm supposed to vote. Am I Tanzanian because I'm a Tanzanian citizen? But then, do I vote in South Africa? I'm so confused.
Could you vote in South Africa as a
permanent resident? Yeah, I think you could.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's so interesting. Yeah. How would you want to raise your family? Do you feel like you would still, like when you get married and have kids, if that's something you want, that you would still want to travel around?
It's a different conversation.
Or would you want to settle down?
Yes. I think it's a misconception just because you're a wanderlust that you don't want to settle. You know? It's just that it's just not as clear. I'm free. You know? So if I met somebody and like they were based in whatever, I wouldn't be phased to move there. You know what I mean? Unless it really sucked.
Okay. You're like, no, I don't do that.
So like, because I don't know, I'm just open right now.
Yeah, okay.
But I would want my kids to be settled. You know, I feel like, you know, you always have like FOMO when you haven't lived a specific life.
Yes.
I would have loved to be able to be like, oh, let me go to my childhood home. And you know that's exactly where the family is based.
Always, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So like right now, I don't even know what to call home. Like all my belongings are with me. Everything I own in this earth is with me. There's you can never leave stuff at home because you don't know if they're gonna move, which they did. You know what I mean? Your stuff just gets like given away or something like that. So I was like, But I don't know. In a
Does
way,
that have a like kind of an emotional impact on you to say, or
I think I'm desensitized.
okay,
Like I'm not so like oh yeah, you'll get new stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm not so attached. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not so attached.
yeah.
So it's almost like so you don't get it when people are like super like emotional about why they don't live home. I'm like, why? I don't get it.
And as you're saying, like the mindset shift is, I think, maybe even people who have had that one home their whole lives and still maybe live in those cities are like, I wonder what it would be like to move around and live in different countries. And so we're
never satisfied. You know, if you have long hair, you want short one. If you have short hair, you want long hair.
Yeah.
It is
the unknown.
Yeah. You always romanticize what you don't know.
Yeah. But that's very interesting what you said about like you don't know where to call home. It's kind of like twofold. It's kind of like, oh, that's so beautiful. I travel around. Home is where I am, or home is where my family is with me. But in the same time,
my family
where is my family? That's how, exactly. I'm exactly the same. But in the same breath, it's kind of like, I don't know. I think the world is so big. I idealize and I love the concept of being able to live in a different country, like spend a couple of years and move, It's not that easy. Okay. Visas, residency, finding a job, the older you get. But
interestingly enough, I don't think that is that hard. And I think maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the way I grew up. That's why I don't put limitations to where I can live. To me, it's open. I don't even think of the visa or the borders. I really don't. Because I'm like, if I want to live in America, I'm just going to find a way to live in America. And I'm not talking about illegal stuff.
You're like, dear attender, I'm here now. I told you.
Yeah, but it's like, I feel like, I don't know, it's either you think like that or you don't. When you start being like, oh my God, moving to this is so much harder. Well, not really.
Okay.
But I've definitely always known that I'm African. That much I'm very comfortable, and I've always known Africa is my home. So it's like, yeah.
So do you say Africa as in Africa as
The
the
whole continent?
Okay, so I completely hear you on that. I know there's there are so many different countries. But I find, so when I traveled to Ghana and Kenya, I was like, these are my people. Exactly. But I'm not Ghanaian or Kenyan. But it's just, I do feel a connection with just being African, the music, the people, there is something about it.
I'm in love with my continent. And I feel like I never had that pride before. You know, these days there's not much nation building happening with the leaders. So we don't have national pride or thinking pride. I feel like our continent, having lived in Europe now, like there's so much opportunity. Our people are so beautiful. And once you see the beauty of it, because I know it's hard when you're living there day to day and you see all the little frustrations, but I don't think it's different anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean? Like everyone is always like, oh my God, in America, they don't have this. They have their own issues. In Europe, they have their own issues. Everywhere, everybody has their own issues. But don't look at yours and make it less than other people. You know what I mean? So like for me, Africa is it. I can live anywhere in Africa and be happy. And like once we figure out the whole connectivity thing in terms of like making easy to travel around Africa, dude, we'll be ruling the world.
But it is very interesting. It would be interesting to see how the world gravitates and where even the continent of Africa itself, as you're saying, it would be interesting to see how the connections work and what our connectivity is, because you'll find at the end of the day, you know, you come overseas, or people from the US or the UK in particular will come to an African continent and will suggest or do something. It has a different weight to when someone from Africa, I think, sometimes says, let's do this. People listen differently, or they interpret differently, or based on who you are and how much money you have. It's
all propaganda. my personal stance on it, yeah. For years and years, we've been told that we're not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You start to believe it. All the images you see, everything they're doing is exceptional. You know what I mean? We've been brainwashed to think that we're less than. So even when we hear our own African accents, we don't admire it. We think somebody is dumber because they speak with an African accent. All of a sudden, it's like, oh.
Or you can't understand them, and then you hear someone from like Spain speaking broken English, but because it's Spanish broken English, suddenly it's like, oh.
I don't know. Like I don't know. I like unlearning certain things because it's not like I didn't have all these biases. They've always been there because that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
So my mom we were correcting her once because like my mom came to South Africa. She knew English, but she knew like school English where you speak very proper. So like when the moms used to like come and then they'll speak to her, she'll get nervous and then she'll just start speaking like what sounds like broken English because she's trying to make it cooler to fit in. So when she'll say certain words and you'll be like, no, mom, you don't say it like that. You say it like this. And we will correct her. She said, it's just my accent. And then she say, why don't you correct the French when they speak?
Yeah.
It's just my accent. It doesn't mean that I don't understand. And that, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That like made me think. And I was like, huh, that's so true.
If you were to pick one word that summarizes your 20s, what would that word be?
I would say authenticity.
A whole authenticity.
Yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful.
It's been a journey to discovering myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Unpack that a little bit.
It's a search and a quest to find myself.
Wow.
Because for me, my 20s have been very crazy. You know what I mean? Like ups and downs and all types of things. And you get lost along the way. And then I found myself. And then now it's like self-love. About to enter my 30s, knowing who I am. Isn't that great? Obviously, you'll grow. But at least I know the foundation.
Yeah, that's the journey of self-discovery. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Sad. But then looking back into your 20s, have you ever or did you ever experience the all-encompassing quarter-life crisis?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was your crisis and when did your crisis happen?
You know what happens is, like, you set goals based on time. You're like, by the time I'm 25, I want to have a car, my own house. You know, by the time I'm 28, I want to be engaged and married by 30. You know, you set those...
In that exact voice.
Yeah. And the reason you have the crisis is because the time comes and you haven't done any other things. And then you become depressed because you're like, what have I done with my life? You know what I mean? And then your younger siblings, my case, will be like, oh, by the time I'm your age, I would, you know what I mean? And then and you make you feel so bad. Yeah. But I don't know, like it's you readjust what's meaningful for yourself after it. I'm quite grateful I had it. Okay. Because I stopped setting numerical goals. Okay. I just kind of say, like, what do I want for my life? You know what I mean? And then because you don't know what's going to happen in the next year or the 2 years. Yeah. But I have like what if plans. By the time I'm 34, for example, I don't have any prospects. No kids, whatever. But I'm like, I want to have kids. So then I would put that plan in place. Wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, even if I had to come to like, if it had to come down to it, I had to come to a place where I'm like, okay, cool. If nothing ever works out for me, like seriously, if nothing ever works out for me, am I okay never being a married person? Am I okay never, you know what I mean, having kids? Am I okay? And ultimately, you just have to be okay with you. Yeah. Because when you're just true to yourself, everything else flows. Nothing that life throws at you will ever like throw you out of balance or take you out. Nothing like that. But it's like you constantly have to remind yourself because you forget. Life gets good and you forget.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're humbled.
In life, if you don't live humbled, life will humble you, and then you'll be like, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again.
Yeah,
But that's interesting, because I think a lot now, I mean, looking back at our parents' generations where they got married in their 20s, early 20s, mind you, not just late 20s, early 20s, had kids, raised kids, and where we are now, even the discussions I have with my friends back home are conversations about marriage, because it's not a pressure thing. It used to be, you know, the pressure from the aunts and the uncles and the family when you're going to get married.
I would disagree.
Now I feel like the conversation is flipped. Not necessarily pressure, but it's you thinking, I want to get married. Not someone telling you should get married. You're like, do I want to get married? Do I want to have kids? That's where I find it's changed. And that's why, not that I feel uncomfortable about it. It's just like, I'm low-key not panicking yet, but I'm just like, Lord, I'm turning 30 soon.
No, I think it's because of the idea of what you had in mind of what 30 would look like. That's the only reason you would be freaking out.
What do you mean by that?
No, because like in your head, you're thinking, oh yeah, by the time 30, my mom already had like 2 kids and she was already married. It's the idea of what you think your 30s are supposed to look like. You know?
Not necessarily. I think I'm just looking for love. So it's not even a kid's thing. I'm just in a place where I'm just like, Lord, I've got love to give.
You're ready.
There's no one
I got you.
on the reciprocal side. That's why I'm saying that it's changed. If it was external pressure, I'd be like, no, guys, I'm fine. I'm not at the kids' place yet. Yeah. I'm more on the relationship settling down thing. Being single is hard.
Interesting. I think it depends.
Okay.
It depends in the crowds you hang out with.
Okay.
Right? Because I don't associate with people who are like that. I don't feel the pressure.
Okay.
Yeah. I've even trained my parents. No. Because then they get into their heads when they hang out with parents who their kids are going through that, and then they're like, oh, when is it going to be your turn? Then you correct them and you're like, no.
I love how you say you correct your parents. Are you really African? You spend way too much time in the UK. When you're like, and then you correct your parents.
They say that too. They're like, you think you're one of these people? Oh yeah. I'm like, no. It's just like, no. But I find that people who return back home, for my friends who have returned back home, all of a sudden the conversation changes, and they're like, oh, I don't know. It's like a pressure thing starts happening, and then all the conversations start becoming about, oh, I think I should get married now. It's time. It just depends on where you're at.
Where you're at and what you want. If you're someone who doesn't want kids and doesn't want to get married, then that's fine. Then you'll never. But if it's something that you want and yearn for, it's. I think
you know. And by where you are, I don't mean like where you are, like in
I mean like in your life.
Yeah, where you are in your life. So like for me, I've been single for the last 4 years by choice, and it's just like I just didn't want. I just didn't want anyone, and I guess it's the best decision I could have made for myself, because I think in that time I grew so much and I got to love me so much, you know. So now if somebody else were to come into the picture, it would never alter me.
Yes.
You know? So I was like, and then I can't imagine myself, because like prior to this, I was always like a hopeless romantic, you know? I was always ready, since high school, I was always ready to like be a young mom, young wife, you know? That thing, I can't imagine myself now if that actually worked out. I'm like so grateful that didn't. Game changer, So like right now, I'm in the space where I know, okay, I'm not ready now to meet somebody, but by the end of the year, I want to meet someone. You know what I mean? Like you get so in tune with yourself that you know. Yeah. And it's not to say you don't, even though you make that decision for yourself, that you don't get lonely or you don't, because you do.
No, definitely, yeah.
But you just have to like understand whether or not you're ready. Because to me, I've had the privilege of watching my friends get married and watching those relationships. Yeah. And there's no rush, people.
Yeah.
Because if you rush it and you pick the wrong person, or you know what I mean? You don't,
messy.
and you don't know yourself yet, and then you pick somebody, you're going to ruin it.
Beautiful. Yeah. And on that note, like, what advice do you have? I mean, you've lived, sounds like a beautiful, eye-opening, mind-opening, more like life that has allowed you to see a lot, and through your travels and life discussions and life lessons that has opened up your mind.
The biggest lesson, if anybody were to learn anything, is to find yourself. Just go towards a journey towards authentic living, because you would discover that you actually were there before. But the rediscovery of you, because you get lost along the way. Some people don't, and you see them like, oh, by the time they're like 19, they've accomplished so much. Some people don't, but then most people get lost in the world. You know, you get consumed in the world, and you don't get to see you. If you find yourself, everything else, I'm telling you guys the truth, lines up. You see not only your life going forward, your relationships with people improve. Like, everything about your life just improves for the best.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for coming onto today's episode of the In My 20s podcast and sharing your experiences about living in the diaspora. Yeah, so this was such a beautiful episode, and there were so many mind moments and so many gem moments. And I must say that one that really, really stood out for me was when you spoke about how you carry your possessions around with you wherever you are, because you never know, when your family's going to move again, or this idea of needing to move and have everything with you. So thank you so much for that. Guys, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who listened to this episode. Please comment, subscribe, subscribe. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So we'll catch you same time, same place, right here on In My 20s. In my 20s. In my 20s, how old are you? I am in my 20s, I am in my 20s. How old are you? I am in my 20s. In my 20s, I am in my 20s, in my 20s. I am in my 20s, I am 20. So I am in my 20s. Okay, guys, The Lion King is coming out next week, and all I can do is listen to the film score, so please forgive me. Okay, bye.